In the last video, I bought this. The cheapest Toyota Landcruiser 80 series in the country, and it doesn't run. I bought potentially the worst 80 series Landcruiser on Facebook Marketplace for the total price of $2,000 because I need a tow car. And after installing a second-hand alternator, installing new spark plugs, and checking the engine for vacuum leaks, it was still running horribly. We've got transmission fluid all over the ground. Hopefully today we can get it running better, but later you'll see we found a problem that could potentially put this build to an end. This is gonna be a lot of work and it's gonna be fun content, but oh my God. The previous owner told us that the fuel tank that was in the car when he bought it was rusted to hell. So he replaced the fuel tank, replaced the fuel pump, and it looks like the fuel tank that's in there is okay.
So although I had an overwhelming amount of support from you guys telling me that it might be the airflow meter, before I went out on Facebook Marketplace and spent money on another one, I wanted to check the injectors. Because although everything that the previous owner said to me might just be a lie, the car did sound like it wasn't getting enough fuel. And later we're gonna call the previous owner just to see if he can give us more information on why this car is not running correctly.
The reason I changed the tank was full of rust, you know, so there's a good chance that injectors will be, you know.
I think this thing has seen too many bush doofs. It's only 3 different colours, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, but what do you think of this, mate? 1FZFE.
This is the only thing that I don't want to roast it about because it's not a dirty, sooty diesel and we can hang a dirty big turbo off this one day. Everything has to have a turbo.
Before we even consider turboing this 1FZFE, I started taking apart the fuel system to see if we can find any more hints to why this thing isn't running correctly. The first thing that I wanted to do was remove the fuel injectors to see what was going on there. And in order to get to the fuel rail, you need to take off the top portion of the intake plenum, and then I would have access to everything I needed to check. Have a look at that. Not much holding it on. There's just a few different vacuum lines, different coolant lines going to the throttle body. Here are the injectors. You can see 1, 2, another one somewhere, I don't know, but we are going to be basically pulling off this entire fuel rail. And then we're also going to take out the fuel filter as well, which is somewhere underneath the lower portion of the plenum. But hopefully with the fuel system all cleaned up, we shouldn't have any sort of misfire. We've taken out all the bolts for the fuel rail, and one of the bolts is really rusty, and I'll show you that in a second. The banjo bolt that actually gives the fuel rail fuel. So it's looking like, yeah, we did have some rusty fuel. Probably gonna need to replace the injectors, but let's try clean them first, I guess. Yep, got a bit of a fuel leak. We're good. I just dropped an injector somewhere.
It's now 5-cylinder. It was always running on actually 5 injectors.
Now the previous owner said that he only ran this car on gas, and we're about to find out exactly why that was the case.
Okay, we got the injectors out, and I'll show you in a second, but oh my God, bro, what the f? So have a look at that, guys. I'm gonna try zoom in on editing.
So what you're looking at is the fuel pressure regulator, and essentially this regulates the pressure on the fuel rail. As you can see, it is completely clogged up, which means that it was highly likely that we weren't getting enough fuel.
Yep, look at that. That's a crusty boy right there.
And here is just one of the 6 injectors that I pulled out. This here was probably the worst one. I have personally never seen injectors clogged like this before, so the fuel tank must have been extremely rusty to the point where it bypassed the fuel filter.
That is next level. I've never seen injectors this bad before.
So we're definitely going to have to do an overhaul of the fuel system. Regardless of the rev hunting, the fuel system was definitely causing some of our issues.
Okay, it's now the next day. We have a second set of injectors and fuel rail, which look much better than the ones that I took out of the car.
I went back to the person that was wrecking his 80 series and picked up his injectors and fuel rail. These looked much better, and hopefully these will fix our problem. And then I also removed the old fuel filter, which is a little bit tricky to get to, just so we could see what was going on.
That is not easy to take out, I can tell you that. You got it there. Oh my God. Ugh. Oh my God. Yeah, you see that? Rusty. There's nothing left, it all evaporated.
So I installed a new fuel filter, then cleaned all the secondhand injectors that I got from the wrecker. Like I said, these looked way better than the ones that we took out. There wasn't rust buildup inside of them, and then I was ready to install them into the car.
Okay, we've got the fuel rail all nice and clean. We've got the injectors installed into the fuel rail. If this doesn't work, I'm gonna relist this car on Facebook Marketplace for $3,000. See if I can get my money back. Because I've probably spent way too much time at this point. What do you think, man?
Still going.
Still going, man?
I mean, they're not new, but they look a lot better than whatever came out of it.
I mean, did you say what came out of it?
Yeah.
After installing the fuel rail and the injectors, I then cleaned out the old banjo bolts, and just look how much rust was coming out of this bolt. It was absolutely unbelievable.
So we've now installed the fuel pressure regulator, the fuel rail, the injectors, and there's no way actually to prime the car with the key. You have to press on that AFM if you remember in the last video. So we've got the air fuel meter just chilling right here, and if I press on this little flap in there, if I press on that flap, we'll be able to run the fuel pump. This is a very necessary test because if I was to put the plenum on and put everything back, then find a fuel leak, then I would have to take it all apart again because it's very hard to access the fuel pressure reg, the rail, and the injectors with the top part of the plenum on. So, moment of truth, guys.
And of course, just our luck, nothing was working. Turns out I missed a few plugs that you need to plug in order to run the fuel pump, so I connected everything back up to finally test if we had any leaks.
Here we go.
There we go.
There we go.
Can't see any.
Can't see any or smell any fuel, so I think we're good.
After confirming that there were no fuel leaks after reinstalling everything, it was now finally time to see if it was the fuel system causing a massive misfire.
Okay, the moment of truth. Everything's connected up now. We're about to start this thing. Don't know how it's gonna go. We'll find out soon. Nice.
Switch it off? Oh, did it die then?
No, it died.
And after all of that, the Landcruiser was still not running correctly. We were having the exact same problem, and at this point, that definitely nailed it down to potentially the airflow meter causing our issue. So the airflow meter controls the amount of fuel that gets put into the motor, and that definitely could be causing our fuel problem. Regardless though, I'm happy that I took the injectors out and made sure to replace them, because even if we did get another airflow meter, we still could have had fuel problems because these injectors were just cooked. Anyway, I got the car idling by playing around with the timing, and then this started to happen.
So, the injectors did not fix the problem that we are having.
So I went on Facebook Marketplace and I bought another airflow meter box. The thing that you guys were suggesting.
I really want to see this thing running, so I installed it off camera without any distractions. It's on there now, and I guess we're going to give it a start and see what happens, because according to all the comments, including the most liked comment, you guys were saying airflow meter. But regardless, the injectors definitely needed to be changed or cleaned because they were horrible, and that, I guess, rules out one of the problems that we're having. Anyway, our old one is sitting over here, and as you guys know, this little flap is what controls the fuel and timing or whatever, and a bunch of other little things. It's also got a air temp sensor in there, and I guess the only thing that we can do from here is give the car a start and see what happens. Got the back door open so we don't die from carbon monoxide poisoning, but let's give this a go and see if the airflow meter has fixed our issue. Come on, please. Okay, it's not rev hunting. I've got the distributor sort of loose so I can play with the timing, just because I don't know if it was in time. Probably shouldn't have touched it, but let's give it another start. Oh my God, it's still misfiring. It's definitely not rev hunting anymore. But it does sound like we've got a misfire. Oh, and it just died. Now it doesn't even want to start. Nice. Oh, but it's still got a misfire. God damn, man.
So the misfire could still be caused with a faulty injector, maybe one of these secondhand injectors but bad. And there's a little trick that you can do in order to make sure that they're firing.
I'm gonna put my ear up to each injector and make sure that it's firing and rule out that all the injectors are working, if I can get it to idle.
I checked each one of the 6 injectors and they were all firing. I could hear them clicking through the screwdriver. So they were definitely getting power and they were definitely pushing fuel in. So the next thing that I needed to do was check the distributor. But before I did that, I thought I'd call the previous owner to see if we could find out any more information.
Hello.
I've just got a few questions. So you know how I bought the Landcruiser off you?
Yes, yes. See, that car was running before, and you know the reason I changed that tank was full of rust. You know, so there's a good chance that injectors will be, you know.
I took all the injectors out and I put some other injectors in, and then it's still got like a misfire on cylinder number 4. Do you reckon the valves are bad?
I don't think so. The car was driving, man. I'm not, you know. The car, I was driving that car, you know.
Yeah.
I was driving it on, I think, gas it was.
Yeah.
I think I showed you, and you know, in front of the throttle body, there's an adjuster thing. You know, next to the throttle body, there's a like a throttle body sensor.
Like a TPS sensor?
Yeah, get those changed maybe.
Yep.
Yeah. If it's in an angle, the car will not run properly. So yeah, so get a different one, and then once the car is running, just move a little bit. You might get a better throttle. You know. Right.
So I discovered something. The TPS has been played with before because one of the bolts is out, which means that this thing has been adjusted, and maybe it was adjusted for gas. But if you look in there, you see there's supposed to be a bolt just there. There's a bolt just in the top there, but there's no bolt on the bottom. So I think there's a bit of a sequence to make sure that the TPS is working correctly. So I'll try to diagnose that with ChatGPT.
So I played with the throttle position sensor because apparently the throttle position sensor can cause issues like rev hunting, and if they're faulty, it won't let you rev past a certain RPM. But it seemed like all the testing said that the throttle position sensor was fine. I then took off the distributor cap and it was a little bit oily. Maybe the distributor was causing our misfire. So I cleaned up the points because maybe they had been worn down over time and that was causing our misfire. But still no luck.
We've got this diagnostics port, and essentially you can bridge 2 pins on this and then you can read engine codes. So what we're going to do is we're going to bridge the 2 pins. I think it's TE1 and E1, and then we should be able to read the engine codes. And if we get a TPS error or any other errors, we can have a look and see what we need to replace, I guess, or fix. Okay, we've got the diagnostic port bridged to TE1 and E1. So when we put the ignition on, we should be able to see the engine light flash a few times and we'll be able to read a code. The first time it flashes will give us our first number, and the second time it flashes will give us our second number. Okay, here we go. 1, that's number 1. 1, 2, so 12. That's one code. 1, 2, that's 20. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 24. 1, 2, 3, 1. 31. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay. So we have code 12, 24, 31, and 41. Quite a few engine codes, which is not ideal. We have number 12, which is knock control sensor signal. So we're getting a knock sensor problem. 24, intake air temperature sensor signal, which means that the AFM that we have, I think that houses the intake air temp sensor and it's causing some sort of error, but I don't think that would cause the rev hunting. 31, flow meter signal, vacuum sensor signal. So I don't know what that is, have to look into that. And here we go, 41, throttle position sensor signal. I think that's causing our issue, and I'm pretty sure if we turn the car on and rev it, yep, tells me that, yeah, it could be a bad TPS. So we definitely have a few engine codes that we need to look into. TPS is one of them, and I think TPS is causing a big problem with our rev hunting issue. But I think while I'm here, just to make sure that everything's okay, I'm gonna do a compression test, because a compression test is one of those things that'll definitely tell us if the engine is healthy. And this car, considering that the fuel was really, really bad, the previous owner was definitely just running it on gas, because there's no way he would have been able to run this thing on petrol. But just to be safe, we're gonna do a compression test. And I've got myself a compression testing kit, so let's see if we got bad comp, boys.
I'm fully aware this is literally the first thing that I should have done when I first saw the car. I've been pretty lucky on Facebook Marketplace in the past, and I've never bought a car with low compression even though it was cheap, and I really wanted to believe that this car had good compression and just trust in the Toyota reliability, and sometimes you've got to take a risk. Let's see if it paid off.
Yep. 100. Interesting. Yep. Oh no. This one's 135. Yep. 125. Stop. Oh, that's not good. Go again. Oh, stop. Oh, fuck. Like 30. I'm serious, man. I got no compression there. Oh, no. Stop. That's real bad. All right, go. Stop. Holy f. Cylinder number 6 is the healthiest. 160. 160. Ho, 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 ho. Ho, 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 ho. Well, we're getting some pretty bad results, guys. Yeah. I guess not every Facebook Marketplace buy is going to be a win. This might be my first proper loss from Facebook Marketplace. Oh my God. So we're getting about 100 to 130 on cylinders number 1 to 3, and then when we compression test 4 and 5, let me just show you what we're getting. This is number 4. Yeah, stop. That number. On the bright side, like I said, the valves could be bad. I'm just hoping that the bottom end is all right.
So probably the worst possible news that we could find. We have low compression. Now luckily the bottom end in these motors are pretty bulletproof, so it's most likely the valves. And because this car has run on gas for a majority of its life, I'd say we've got a pretty high chance that it's just the valves.
Either way, I'm gonna have to pull this motor apart. This is gonna be a lot of work and it's gonna be fun content, but the head definitely has to come off. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I will see you all in the next one. See ya.